pieces of cloth, one for the bottom, and then one we wear on top, like this.
It's all cotton, it's all plain. Whether you're rich, poor, doesn't matter what race, what class. In front of the eyes of God, you're all the same. We're not used to wearing clothes like this. And I think that's the whole point, is to come out of our comfort zone for the sake of God.
For female pilgrims, ihram goes beyond clothing.
Women don't have a uniform like men do, but we'll wear something modest and clean. We'll take off our makeup. We won't wear nail polish. We want our external person to reflect the internal person. And we go before God as plain and exposed as we are.
Now that means we're going to Mecca. It means the reality of Hajj is on. So it's exciting and a little frightening.
Everyone's going to come to Mecca wearing this white garb. And when we die, we wear this white garb. So it's a reminder for us that this life isn't infinite, it's finite.
The preparation over, the pilgrimage begins. The journey to Mecca recreates Muhammad's own path. As the native son returned to his tribal home months before his death, as the leader of a vibrant new religion. Once there, Muhammad taught his followers the traditions that would become the Hajj.
The trip south from Medina to Mecca has always been rich with symbolism. When Muhammad did it, it was a sign of triumph, that Mecca had been purged of idols, they were free to worship one God. At the time, it took 2 weeks by foot. By camel, it would take 10 days. Now, there's a highway, and it takes 3 or 4 hours by car. But at the height of the Hajj, it can take 10, 12, even 18 hours. And that only heightens the anticipation. Now is when the journey truly begins.
Mecca is Islam's holiest city. The population of 2 million can double or triple during the pilgrimage. The heart of the city is the Great Mosque. Covering almost 100 acres, its multiple levels and corridors are said to hold up to 1 million pilgrims at one time. At the center is the Kaaba, which the Quran says was built by Abraham and Ishmael. Muslims consider it the house of God on earth. On their first night in Mecca, the Boston pilgrims make the ritual known as Tawaf, circling the Kaaba 7 times, as instructed by Muhammad.
Well, when we came here, it was after a 6 or 7 hour bus drive, and we were in our ihram. So it was tiring. But when you get your first view of the Kaaba, it's just beautiful.
It was a lot harder than I thought it would be. These are large circles. I think it must have taken us 2 or 3 hours to walk around the Kaaba 7 times. You know, we were barefoot, and it's marble floor. It's slow, and you're bumping up against people.
There are some pinch points where the crowd gets really intense. If we're just sort of in tune with each other, it's really fine. But then there's that person who panics because they've lost contact with their partner or something, and
they start
try to get
fast,
through fast or try to push their way through.
During the tawaf, you're supposed to be praying, you know, like supplicating. And I think if you're really good at it, you're doing that constantly. But I have to admit, my head wasn't staying in the game. I was counting the laps. So I ended up engaging Amr in idle chit-chat. And she said, you know, we're not supposed to be chit-chatting. I think
I'm here to chit-chat.
Drawn that we had to go there. We belong there.
At the southwest corner of the Kaaba is a black stone encased in silver.
It is our belief that it's a stone from the heavens, and kissing it will put a piece of heaven inside us.
The hardest is when you want to actually approach the black stone. Then it gets very tight.
There's a sea of millions around you, and we are all pressed against each other. I have never felt that much energy go through me.
I can easily see how you can be crushed to death.
I was squeezed from all directions. It was tough to breathe.
At one point I was off my feet. I wasn't even touching the ground anymore because there were just so many people. I just actually went up into the air.
We took a much longer time to get there because we had decided that we are not going to push, we were trying to inch forward.
With patience, you know, you can get in there without harming anybody. And I managed to kiss the blackstone today, so alhamdulillah, I was extremely happy with that.
As I got in front of the stone, I don't know what happened, but the world stopped for a second. And there was stillness, and I felt no pushing, no shoving, and I was able to go in and kiss the stone. And then I thought about it for a second, and there was no pressure again, so I kissed it again. I truly was alone with God in a sea of 5 million people.
Anisa and the pilgrims will remain in Mecca for several days before the most important Hajj rituals begin.